In a hospital's neonatal unit, among the many newborns, one sticks out for her remarkable beauty. Years later, at an amusement park, we find the infant has matured. Mona's adorable and attractive personality captivates her pals. At school, while playing hide and seek, all the lads excitedly wait for her to complete counting, hoping to be the one. The first one she catches. Mona's well-being is prioritized, with everyone working hard to make her comfortable and safe. Years pass and Mona matures. Mona awakens in her bedroom, revealing her transformation into a young woman. She runs to high school, and everyone on the street stops to ogle the stunning girl. Everyone at school greets her cordially and enjoys talking to her. Everyone except Madaka, who only returns with a polite hello. Mona wonders why he is the only one who welcomes her so rudely. She initiates daily conversations by asking how he is adjusting to his new school after a 2-week transfer. Maka quickly becomes tired with her speech and offers to walk him around the school again. The males are envious when Mona invites him to spend time with her again. Madaka asks Mona to quit getting so near to him, seeing the envious eyes around him. Mona sits at the desk next to him, perplexed as to how a boy could be so uninterested in her. Her ego is damaged. She discovers Madaka gazing at his phone and sees images of the kitten. Mona believes she has successfully altered his perception of her. She asks whether he likes cats while combing her arms and hands in an adorable kitten-like manner. Everyone in the school compliments Mona on how adorable she is, but Madaka's is the only one who notices. He glances at her, clearly upset, and asks her not to bother him. Everyone in the classroom is shocked and upset over how he handled the charming girl. Mona wonders why she hasn't received a response from Madaka despite her efforts, until he appears to have a question for her. Mona enthusiastically inquires about his needs. Madaka then asks her not to speak to him until absolutely essential. Mona is taken aback by what she hears, considering how she was adored since childhood. Mona flees, perplexed by Madaka's lack of interest in her. She comes up with a fresh scheme, climbs a ladder to hang a banner while he goes by, knowing no guy can resist her long and gorgeous legs. Ma recognizes her intents and becomes angered by her actions. After the planet fails, she switches to a backup plan and falls down the ladder, revealing her panties. Madaka is frustrated and cringes as several boys hurry to help her. Mona's initial attempt failed, forcing her to resort to her ultimate maneuver. Mona raises her hand during class to request a visit to the infirmary. The teacher accepts and searches for someone to accompany her. Mona pretends to take a trip and relies on Madaka to accompany her, despite the girl's willingness to volunteer. The teacher asks Madaka if he can manage it, and he must agree. Mona forces him to face the wall in the infirmary. He inquires about her current health status. Mona responds that the infirmary is typically deserted at this time, and since he is the first boy to push her to such extent, she asks whether he has feelings for her. She is concerned that his distant demeanor may indicate that she has done something to offend him. Madaka maintains this is not the case. Mona believes she has finally caught him as he shows empathy for the first time. Madaka instantly returns to her usual expression of displeasure. Realizing she has to act swiftly, she grabs his arm and guides him to a seat. However, they trip on the curtain and tumble onto the bed. Mona apologizes for overreacting and observes that he remains upset despite her presence. Mona refuses to believe her charms aren't working, so she unbuttons her top and claims it was a mistake. She knows she has gone too far, but she hopes this would finally win him over. Madaka frowns and refuses to give in. When all else fails, Mona has a tantrum and the mattress falls to the floor with them. Madaka inquires if she is wounded. Finally, a brief moment of connection. Mona senses the moment, but realizes her blouse is still open. Embarrassed, she says she's okay and asks him to let her go. Madaka, flustered, stands up and assures her that he did not intend for this to happen. He advises her to save such times for a male she cares about, since he believes he may not be the right person for her. Hearing this, Mona can't help but blush. She becomes annoyed with herself for allowing this boy to make her feel something when it should be the other way around. Mona then returns to the classroom. When the other males ask if she is feeling better, she expresses gratitude to Madaka for her earlier assistance. Mona notices the kid looking directly at her for the first time, which makes her feel something unusual. She avoids meeting his stare, feeling humiliated and nervous about falling for him. Mona collapses on her desk, looks at Madaka, and promises to do everything it takes to have him fall in love with her. The next day, Mona comes at school and is greeted warmly by everyone. When she encounters Madaka in the corridor, he greets her politely yet coldly. She notices that he is finally wearing his school uniform. Madaka answers with a simple yes and continues going. Asahi, one of the girls he passes by in the corridor, blushes and pretends nothing occurred. During gym class, Mana's stretches captivate all the lads. She's solely concerned about if Madaka recognizes how toned her physique is. She ignores the attention from others since she is focused on her purpose, which only involves Madaka. She tries to attract his attention by calling for him to stretch with her, but he ignores her and appears furious, annoying her peers. The coach urges the girls to prepare for their game. Mona considers alternative methods to get Madaka's attention, as her legs and chest have been ineffective. She considers another sale, but recalls Madaka's remarks from the day before. Save these things for a boy who actually cares about you. Mona dismisses the coach's announcement of teams as irrelevant. She'll do anything to make him fall for her. Mona feels fatigued after class and has a little sheen of sweat. She washes herself in a way that exposes her abdomen. The lads are thrilled to witness this side of Mona, which they have never seen before. Mona is convinced that her abs and belly button will attract Madaka's attention. The boy turns and walks away, mumbling, "Clear mind, pure spirit." Mona has once again been vanquished. Meta goes to the water fountains to refresh himself, while Mona follows in a trance. He avoids looking at her directly, which Mona interprets as a positive indication. However, something feels odd, so she abandons her objective and walks away. Madaka blushes slightly when she takes a sip of water from the tap. He hastily averts his look when she notices. Mona feels she has finally caught his attention. She accidentally closes her hand over the faucet, causing water to pour all over her, soaking her entire clothes. Madaka shouts in embarrassment, while Mona screams as she realizes what happened. She crouches down and covers herself to avoid embarrassing herself in front of Madaka. But it's all a desperate performance to hide her damp body from Madaka and avoid being embarrassed by his stare. Madaka shows generosity by removing his shirt and covering her exposed body. Mona cannot help but notice his muscles and blushes. Maka returns to the gym, and Mona expresses gratitude for his act. Mona admires Maka's lovely belly peak as she walks away. Meanwhile, the girl hiding behind the door observes the entire scenario. As he was leaving the school, Madaka thought that the clothing he had left with Mona must have smelled like sweat. Two boys meet him and wonder if he's being too harsh on Mona. They acknowledge her efforts to win him over and urge that he be more considerate. Madaka chooses to ignore their chatter and continue walking, but they insist on a courteous conversation. He takes them to a park and says that he is the heir to a feline temple and cannot get too close to girls due to his responsibilities. He has never had a girlfriend because his village consists entirely of elderly folks and goats. He also doesn't know anything about girls because he has never interacted with them. The lads begin to understand Madaka's behavior towards Mona, despite her efforts to maintain their relationship. He isn't purposely ignoring Mona. He has no idea how to cope with her. This applies not only to her, but to all girls. Madaka says that he has only ever seen girls as attractive as Mona on television shows. Mona feels like he's been put into the big leagues too quickly after his recent performances. In contrast to his village, the metropolis offers numerous temptations, making it challenging for him to stay focused on his goal. The boys understand, but believe it wouldn't hurt to attempt to be a little kinder to her regardless of what happens. Madaka agrees with them, but is aware that if he gives in even slightly, he would fall for her. He refuses to violate his faith in a girl, even if he never imagined it would happen. But for a moment he imagines dating her. But he cries to expel the dirty thought and resumes mumbling, "Clear mind, pure spirit." The boys recognize that this chant helps him keep his thoughts under control. Madaka tells himself that he moved schools to improve his mind and live a life devoid of materialistic distractions. The next day, Mona returns his newly washed garment. Madaka says it wasn't required, but Mona teases him about keeping her perfume. Madaka fights to remain calm in the face of a direct foe in order to maintain his beliefs. Upon Mona's arrival in the art room, the boys excitedly observe her pose for Madaka's drawing. They continue to be fascinated by Mona, claiming she is as charming as ever. Mona seems unconcerned, but Madaka ignores her and focuses on his drawing board to prevent immoral thoughts. Mona, frustrated with his lack of attention, proposes he take advantage of her unusual modeling offer and pose however he wants, even joking about posing naked. The boy next to her is envious of Madaka's gift and nearly tears out his own hair when he hears this. Madaka is annoyed by her lack of reaction to a fun joke. Despite her pleasant mood, Madaka maintains a hatred toward her. The males standing next to her, however, commend her for her sense of humor. Mona is confident that she will put an end to her and Madaka's lack of interest in her art endeavor. She devises a shameless approach to win him over. Mona seeks for enticing stances that will make Madaka's pulse race. She recalls how he struck a great position after noticing her wetness. Madaka focuses on his faith and battles with pure mind. But when Mona shifts her posture, blood rushes to his head. He engages in intense concentration to suppress unwanted ideas. Madaka concentrates solely on producing a high-quality drawing as they begin working. Mona can't comprehend how he can do it so quietly with her as a model. Meanwhile, a girl in class keeps gazing at Mona, prompting her model to admonish her for not paying attention. Mona's daring pose draws more attention from her classmates than Madaka's. She asks him which part he is now drawing. Madaka responds that he is working on Mona's neck, making her feel devoured by his eyes. Mona blushes when she notices the boy's gaze on her neck, as it triggers negative thoughts. Mona finds it difficult to resist the warm sensation that overwhelms her body. Overwhelmed, she hurries to the girls' bathroom, hoping Madaka will always stare at her in that way. In the classroom, the boys appreciate Madaka's precise work and inquire about his future plans for it. Madaka imagines many scenarios for his work and begins to pray. In the library, Madaka searches for a book for his assignment, but Mona grabs it first. Mona jokes that it must be fate and proposes they read it together. Madaka declines, hands her the book, and departs, murmuring a prayer. After all, the mere act of accidentally holding her hand causes more agitation in his thoughts than an earthquake. Mona stays behind him to better understand him. Mona is disappointed to find that the girl from painting class continues to stare at her. And when she looks back at the girl, she manages to flee the library terrified. Mona is undeterred by their ejection and decides to breach Madaka's personal space. While the two read the book, the boys next to them watch from a distance, hating Maka and wishing they could enjoy Mona's company more. Haruno remains captivated with Mona and glances at her from a distance. When Mona notices that the girls seem to want to tell her something, she wonders why Haruno avoids her instead of addressing her. Thinking back, she recalls Haruno staring at her in painting class. And, coincidentally, she was accompanied by Madaka. With this in mind, Mona concludes, Haruno is really looking at Madaka, since she has a crush on him. Feeling like she's now competing with Haruno, Mona discovers that despite spending all of her time with Madaka, he does not even glance at her. Determined to adapt her tactics, she starts analyzing Haruno's actions. Convinced that Mika must enjoy people. With her profile of quiet, bookish girls, she wonders whether Madaka prefers girls like Haruno. Despite all her efforts, she is. Mona is invested and will not allow anyone take him away. Furthermore, Madaka still shows no interest in her, so she cannot waste any more time and must act. She is resolved to use her entire potential to win over Madaka. After finishing her investigation, Mona begins to act like Haruno, even wearing spectacles to fully immerse herself in the character. She sits in front of him with a cup of tea and glasses, potentially over the counter, trying to project a different aspect of herself to see if it will make him fall. This is for her. As soon as they see her wearing spectacles, the animals in the library begin to adore her anew. Her supporters, who are typically willing to celebrate her every move, are surprised by her brazen behavior in the library and miss the tea that breaks the rules. Mona believes that her academic Mona act fits wonderfully with the library setting. She is certain of winning Madaka's heart. Madaka notices her glasses and thinks she is adorable, but quickly glances down to prevent further thinking. Mona observes this and touches his leg with her foot, sending shivers down his spine. Mona, sensing that she is on the verge of winning him over, compassionately inquires as to his opinion of her. Summoning the divine, Madaka stands up and sternly tells her to stop kicking him. Once more, Mona's attempts fail, and Haruno watches the scene with curiosity. Mona understands that Haruno is madly in love with Madaka, creating a new rival. Following that, Mona begins shadowing Haruno wherever she goes, hoping to better understand the girl's behavior. She rapidly finds that Haruno is quite helpful, watering the school's plants and scrubbing the blackboard without anyone even asking. Mona resolves to continue stalking Haruno for a time, believing that she is indeed a good girl. Longer, hoping to find some problems. Only then would she know that Haruno has no chance of winning Madaka's heart. In the locker room, Mona rejects Haruno's merits and concentrates on her weaknesses to show that she can't win over Madaka. However, when Mona observes Haruno changing and discovers her well-lined figure, she understands she is dealing with a powerful competitor. Meanwhile, the other girls start complimenting Haruno's body, expressing jealously. Haruno, in turn, he becomes ashamed and exhibits extraordinary modesty. Mona recognizes another attribute she lacks. Monsense admits to herself that Haruno is a much gentler and sweeter girl than she is. Since Maka is extremely reserved, she fears Haruno may have an advantage over her. After all, both appear far more compatible. Mona, frustrated, takes a jog on the track to burn off steam. Haruno is upset because she lacks certain qualities.
A boy
Approaches her and gives her the book she requested. Mona compliments him and expresses feminine adoration, lightening the boy's day. She realizes she had never spoken to Madaka in this way, praising him and expressing affection. While she devises a fresh approach, Madaka was relaxing on the school roof, relishing the air, when a handkerchief floats. Approach him. He catches it, and Mona appears to thank him for returning her handkerchief. She intends to charm him so. He is so passionately in love with her that he is unaware of it. Mona claims she goes there to rest as well. Thank him again for catching her favorite handkerchief, and note how helpful he always is. She attempts to tell. They know she likes him, but she doesn't say it. Despite having stated it casually only moments before, It's difficult to express myself. The wind raises her skirt, forcing her to hold it while she continues to try to confess feelings. When she can't take it anymore, she admits that he disgusts her. Madaka tells her that he did not check underneath her skirt, but Mona chooses to postpone the conversation. The pressure rises as she feels time running out, determined not to allow Haruma to win him over. After a month, Mona had made little progress in winning over Madaka, which she became more frustrated than before. In class, elections for the festival committee are held. Students draw. Ballots will be used to choose who will participate. Madaka's ballot indicates that he will not participate, although Haruno is the first girl selected. Mona becomes the second girl chosen. Haruno is excited to work with Mona, who she graciously returns the sentiment while listing all of the slurs she is familiar with. After class, they met to decide. Consider festival activities such as a cafe, a play, or a haunted house. Haruno inquires what Mona's the group did in high school. Mona responds that they had a costume cafe, which Haruno enjoys, visualizing Mona in a cute, oversized costume. Mona quickly opposes the concept, picturing herself in a massive outfit that hides her body. As they continue to work, and Mona strives to comprehend Haruno, recognizing they are now part of a complex love triangle. where she only wants Madaka to fall in love with her. However, Haruno appears outrageously pleased to collaborate with her love rival, making Mona worry if Haruno considers her a worthy competition. When Mona's pen runs out of ink, and Haruno joyfully hands her a replacement. Haruno's phone rang. She quickly grabs. It quickly disappeared from Mona's sight. It appears as if Haruno is purposely attempting to hide something. For whatever reason, this comes from Mona's perspective. Mona is curious and wonders what's going on, but Haruno insists that she is the only one who cannot see it. Mona is now motivated to unearth the secret because she did not expect Haruno to reject the plan. Respectfully requests to see it, but Haruno declines and flees. Mona chases after. She demanded to know why she couldn't see the phone. Haruno exclaims that Mona will despise her if she does. Mona vows to will not, as long as she remains away from Madaka. Taking on Haruno, the phone falls to the ground. Then Mona picks it up. She perceives herself as Haruno's wallpaper, which is somewhat shocking, but it has nothing to do with Madaka. Haruno, embarrassed, begins to cry and begs Mona not to hate her. She reveals that she has been Mona's #1 fan. Since the entry ceremony, Haruno began discreetly photographing Mona since she looked lovely and made everyone happy. Nothing sinister, just about 300 images. Mona understands that Haruno is not following Madaka, but her. Hermanino admits she intended to alter the wallpaper before Mona saw it to prevent appearing strange, but now it's too late. However, Mona is relieved rather than upset because she is not competing with. She's going to chase Madaka. Mona hugs her, assuring her that everything is fine and that she does not think she is unusual. Mona recalls confessing her affections for Madaka during the chase. She tries to conceal it by claiming she was talking about a fish named Madaka, but Haruno doesn't appear to believe it, having examined Mona closely enough to notice how she has changed since meeting Madaka. She offers to support Mona and win his love. Ironically, Mona discovers it. It's annoying when someone ignores her wishes. The following day at school, pupils prepare for the schools. They've been organizing a cultural festival for quite some time. While conducting the work, Haruno approaches Mona. However, as the girl continues to approach her, Mona becomes less helpful, answering only the most basic questions. However, as she glances at Mona notices Madaka's sole focus on schoolwork, yet she is unable to turn away from him. Realizing Mona is very invested in Madaka, and Haruno says she is rooting for her and feels that the cultural event will. This would be a great opportunity for her to brag to him. However, upon hearing this, Mona attempts to divert the subject, saying once again, she does not like Maka, as Haruno imagines. In this, she recalls the moment when she ordered Runo to remove her hands from Madaka and notes that this caused the girl have a completely false idea about her. After all, Mona's only purpose is to make him fall in love with her, but she doesn't appear to know anything. That's going to happen after that. Mona joins Haruno after class to look at outfits. While they select Haruno speaks on a mythology that centers around their school's cultural festival and the costumes they would wear. The passing message of fate is also known as the Bridge of Love. When Mona hears this, she is confused, and Haruno calls her to the window and demonstrates a specific bridge. She then states that if a couple holds hands on that bridge while the school celebration will make them fall in love forever. Nonetheless, Haruno hopes Mona will be able to hold Madaka's hand on that bridge to enhance their friendship. After hearing this, Mona tries again to convince her that they don't have anything. However, in the middle of the discussion, the teacher drags Haruno to another place. Mona understands that she won't be able to convince Haruno that she doesn't like him unless she can make the lad fall in love with her as quickly as possible. She then starts trying on several clothing, hoping to find this appearance will make her irresistible. Only then will she be able to make Madaka fall in love with her immediately. However, after putting on a few ensembles, she discards them all and says she needs to find the right pair of clothes. Will get Madaka's heart racing. After a few more tries, she finds the perfect appearance. In this scenario, she awoke at the event dressed as a Playboy bunny. But when she looks in the mirror, she realizes that the clothing exposes a lot of skin, which makes her uneasy. She then starts to contemplate the option of modifying her appearance. But as soon as she says this, Madaka himself enters the room and sees her there. An appealing outfit. At that point, she begins to turn redder than a pepper and turns away from him. What about Madaka? She begins to blush and wonders why she is wearing those things. She then offers an excuse, explaining that she is only testing. As part of her festival committee duties, she took some clothing out. Madaka drops the papers he was holding, bringing and claims that his only purpose there is to leave the papers in the room. But he's barely functional after seeing Mona in this outfit. He makes it apparent that he is leaving in a second. But while he collects the papers, Mona, hearing Haruno's distant voice coming, she understands that things would get even stranger if she discovers her disguised as a bunny next to Madaka, and no explanation will suffice on this occasion. So, Haruno is set to enter the. Mona pushes Madaka inside the wardrobe and hides with him amid the clothes. However, as they get too close, so-called melons begin to contact him, leaving him unresponsive. In the meantime, Haruno gathers the papers off the floor, unsure where they had come from. Mona, in turn, becomes agitated since she is so near to Madaka. He hopes he can't feel her rapid heartbeat. After all, she is already favoring him excessively. I am sticking with him. Meanwhile, Madaka continues to cross himself, and eventually, he manages to clear any and all. To avoid breaking down, he cleared his head of all unsuitable thoughts. However, when she notices him breathing excessively in her air, Mona starts to feel ticklish, which causes her to almost giggle aloud. Nonetheless, she maintains her composure. Returning to Haruno, the same teacher as previously, appears and asks to join her again. After Madaka and Mona were finally able to escape their tiny hiding location. At this point, Mona sighs. She feels relieved and then realizes she has just given the boy something extremely important. She glances at him to see if was enough to make him fall in love with her, and she's praying for the best. But ultimately, she's as disappointed as usual because her beloved boy continues to maintain his spirit free of worldly thoughts such as passion. When she sees his reaction, she knows she went too far by wearing an outfit like that because there's nothing cute about a Playboy bunny outfit. Madaka, on the other hand, thinks she looks cute in her attire. However, he reminds her that she is exposing too much skin for her own good. Then he exits the room abruptly. Mana wonders about what she just heard and noticed her heart beating faster, which makes her confused about everything. Madaka was never a particularly attractive man, or perhaps she liked him. In her view, she is entirely focused on making him fall in love with her to establish her worth. When Madaka realizes he called her cute, he becomes quite shy. So, he crosses himself to keep his spirit pure. The next morning, Mona enters to class with confidence because even Madaka recognizes that she is attractive. So her aim to get him bend his knees for her has already been completed. She tries to talk to him, expecting the child to respond with a smile. But instead, he continues to stare at her. Expression remained stern as usual. When it comes to the festival, all of the females dress up in bunny ears sans the short section. Thank you for watching to this point. This is not the end. For part 2, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got other interesting anime recaps for you. Choose the left or the right video.